The silence in the house was thick, heavier than the swollen summer heat that pressed against the windows. It wasn't the ordinary quiet of a shared space at rest. It was loaded, strained, aching with things left unsaid. It had become the dominant language between us, this silence. I had learned to read its shape, its weight, its moods. It curled around the corners of the room, lingered in doorways, and hung over our meals like a specter. I lay back on the couch, eyes fixed on the slow, hypnotic spin of the ceiling fan, its steady rhythm mocking the chaos unraveling inside my head. Sarah was in the shower. I could hear the water striking tile, a temporary cover for the disquiet that had taken root in our lives. We had been married 15 years of building something brick by brick, a home, a history, a quiet rhythm of knowing glances and inside jokes and comfortable silences that once meant contentment. We used to be the couple people pointed to with wistful smiles, effortless, solid, happy, or so I believed. But cracks don't always thunder into being. Sometimes they arrive softly like a shadow slipping under a locked door. First it was the unexplained overtime, the quick shifts of her eyes when she answered calls in the other room, the way her laugh began to sound foreign, rehearsed. A wall had begun to grow between us, not made of anger, but of distance, emotional indifference, an erosion of intimacy too slow to scream, but loud enough to ache. Then came the messages, texts I hadn't been meant to see. I read them at midnight, sitting on the bathroom floor while she slept in our bed. They were explicit, raw, full of a hunger she hadn't shown me in years. Each word hit like glass to the chest, sharp and final. I stared at them for hours, rereading the lines until they blurred and burned behind my eyelids. I couldn't reconcile them with the woman I once woke up smiling beside, the woman whose heartbeat I used to feel in my sleep. She had become a stranger who still used my name. The pain was not a moment, it was an organism, breathing, growing, feeding on every memory we had ever built together. And yet beneath the devastation, something unfamiliar began to emerge. Not forgiveness, not even hatred, something colder, something steadier, acceptance. A strange clarity in knowing that the life I thought I knew was gone, and I had to choose. What came next? Wallow in betrayal, let it rot me from within, or rise from it with purpose? I chose the latter. I didn't confront her right away. There were no late-night arguments, no broken dishes or shouted accusations. Instead, I disappeared into the background of our home, became the silent observer. I studied her, watched the patterns, her habits, her tells. I wasn't fueled by rage, but by something sharper: strategy, precision. I laid my trap slowly, methodically, with a calm that frightened even me. I began by fabricating a digital trail harmless enough to be plausible, damning enough to spark doubt, a few dating profiles with playful banter, suggestive emojis, the sort of flirtation she had indulged in. But this time, it was me behind it. I wasn't cheating, I was mirroring, showing her the reflection she had so carelessly carved into our lives. I changed the password on my phone. It was a small move, but it didn't go unnoticed. She saw it. I caught her glancing. Her face stiffened when I tilted the screen away. A flash of worry passed through her eyes, quickly disguised as disinterest. She tried to play it cool, but she fumbled it. Her guilt had made her sloppy. The night I knew the performance was complete. She asked if I wanted to go out to dinner. Her voice carried a cheerful edge, but her eyes were nervous. I nodded without emotion, just enough to seem withdrawn. Her enthusiasm overcompensated immediately, like she was trying to breathe life into a flame already smothered. We picked one of our old spots, a place filled with warm memories and the echo of easier times. It felt like dining inside a photograph, familiar, yet no longer real. She smiled too much, laughed too hard, touched my hand the way she used to. But it was hollow, her gestures mechanical, rehearsed. I watched her eat, watched her pretend. She reached for my fingers and said, "You seem distant," her voice carefully tuned with mock concern. I shrugged, just tired, that was all. On the drive home, I pulled into a gas station under the guise of needing a drink. She stayed in the car. While inside, I took out my phone and sent a single text to a number she didn't recognize. "Tonight at 10 o'clock, your place." I hit send, and just like that, the final piece of the puzzle slid into place. Back in the car, She tried to read me again. I reached over and placed my hand on hers, mirroring her gesture from dinner. Her lips parted. Confused, maybe even hopeful. I smiled, just a hint, hollow and without warmth. The rest of the ride passed in silence. At home, we moved through the house like strangers, passing through the same space without touching. She went to the bedroom. I stayed in the living room. I waited. It didn't take long. Her footsteps came fast and frantic. She burst into the room, holding my phone like it had burned her. Her face was pale, eyes wide with panic. "You couldn't have," she stammered. "What is this?" Her voice shook, breath hitched. She held up the screen, her hand trembling. I looked at her, not with fury, not with sadness, just calm, almost clinical. "What does it look like?" I said evenly. The color drained from her cheeks. Her jaw moved, but no sound came out. You're cheating." "Yes," I said. "I've been exploring. Online dating's quite the thrill. You'd be surprised how easy it is to feel wanted again." My voice was measured, emotionless. I could have screamed. I could have spat every vile word I had swallowed over the last few months. But I didn't. I wanted her to sit in the silence. She had gifted me. I wanted her to feel what it meant to be helpless in the storm she had created. She shook her head, her eyes filling. "I don't understand." "I think you do," I said softly. I stood and approached her, gently taking the phone from her hand. My touch meant nothing now. "It's not complicated, Sarah. You cheated." I played along. "You shattered something, and I gave you the courtesy of feeling the break." Her lips parted, maybe to apologize, maybe to deny, but nothing came out. Only tears, hot, fast, uncontrolled. She cried, not like someone grieving love, but someone realizing the game had turned against her. It was almost pitiable. "Almost. You're doing this to me," she gasped finally. "No," I replied. "You did this to yourself." I turned and walked away, my footsteps echoing with finality. In the bedroom, I packed a single bag. Not rushed, not careless, deliberate. Like a man leaving a conference. I didn't look back. I didn't say another word. She stayed in the living room, sobbing, and I walked out the door. Stepped into the night, the cool air slicing through the heat like truth cutting through lies. In the months that followed, I learned how to live again. I moved to a new city, found a job, began rebuilding not just a life, but a sense of self I hadn't realized I'd lost. It wasn't easy. Some nights were hard, some mornings lonely, but there was peace in it, a peace I hadn't known in years. I never saw her again, never heard from her. She vanished like a chapter that had finally reached its last page. But now and then, when quiet filled the room and memory crept back in, I'd see that moment again, her face when she read that message, the collapse of her certainty, the unraveling of her lie, and I would smile, just a little, not a smile of joy, not revenge. Just peace, cold, final, earned peace.